Questions 1 to 11, the first passage on the writing section. Okay, let's start reading. The title is Shed Some Light on the Workplace. Studies have shown that employees are happier, healthier, and more productive when they work in an environment in which temperatures are carefully controlled. Alright, let's look at number 1. Studies have shown that employees are happier, healthier, and more productive. Okay, that makes sense. I would circle A so far, but let's read the other answer choices. Healthy and more productive. That doesn't sound right because it says we want more of something, like happier, you're more productive. It's not saying that employees are just happy, so it's not B. Healthier, yes, and they are more productive. That ruins the flow, so it's not C. Healthier, being more productive. Well, that's not right because we don't know if they're healthier because they are more productive, so it's not B. So the answer is A. Question 2. Which choice provides the best appropriate introduction to the passage? Alright, so we have some hints from what the title is, but I think we should finish this paragraph here and then do question 2 just so we can answer better because it requires us a bit of knowledge of the passage. New buildings may be designed with these studies in mind, but many older buildings were not, resulting in spaces that often depend primarily on artificial lighting. While employers might balk at the expense of reconfiguring such buildings to increase the amount of natural light, the investment has been shown to be well worth it in the long run for both employees and employers. Alright, so we know this passage is talking about the benefits of natural lighting and how artificial lighting is more costly. So it's talking about artificial lighting. So question 2, the answer should be something about how employees are more productive in a natural lit environment. So let's see. Which choice provides the most appropriate introduction to the passage? A, no change, nope. B, that affords them adequate amounts of natural light. That sounds right. That is thoroughly sealed to prevent energy loss. That's not a topic of conversation. In which they feel comfortable asking managers for special accommodations. That's also not That's not what was talked about. So it is B. Alright. For one thing, lack of exposure to natural light has a significant impact on employees' health. A study conducted in 2013 by Northwestern University in Chicago showed that inadequate natural light could result in eye strain, headaches, and fatigue, as well as interference with the body's circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms, which are controlled by the body's biological clocks, influence body temperature, hormone release, cycles of sleep and wakefulness, and other bodily functions. Alright, question 3. At this point, the writer is considering adding the following sentence. Workers in office with windows sleep an average of 46 minutes more per night than workers in offices without windows. Alright, so we should kind of forget about the yes, yes, no, no, and only look at the answer, like the reasons. Should the writer make this addition here? Yes, because it supplies quantitative data that we'll examine in the rest of the paragraph. It's not. I don't think this it's not talked about in the rest of the paragraph. Yeah, they're not talking about it, so this is not right. Yes, because it explains the nature of the bodily functions related to the referred to in the next sentence. Explains the nature. No, this does not explain the nature of circadian rhythms, so this is not right. No, because it interrupts the discussion of circadian rhythms. Well, that is true because we were talking about circadian rhythms, and then it went on to I defined circadian rhythms. But if this was added, then that would interfere with the flow. So say C sounds right. No, because it does not take into account whether workers were exposed to sunlight outside the office. Okay, that's just irrelevant information, and we just don't need this. So it's the answer C. Circadian rhythms, which are controlled by the body's biological clocks. Okay, so bodies, we're not talking about a plural, so it's not B. You need an apostrophe to indicate that the the clocks belong to the body. So it's not A. Bodies, biological clocks. Yes, that's true. That works because the clocks belong to the body, and its body singular. Bodies, biological clocks. No, because clock. Nothing belongs to the clock, so there should not be an apostrophe here. So the answer is C. Circadian rhythms, which are controlled by the body's biological clocks, influence body temperature, hormone release, cycles of sleep and wakefulness, and other bodily functions. Disruption of circadian rhythms have been linked to sleep disorders, diabetes, depression, and bipolar disorder. Like any other health problems, these ailments can increase employee absenteeism, which in turn is costly for employers. Okay, let's walk through the answer choices. Is costly for employers, can increase employee absenteeism, which in turn is costly for employers. So we're referring to a singular thing. So is should be the answer. But let's walk through the other choices to see how it matches with flow. Which in turn are costly for employers. That doesn't make sense because we're not talking about health problems here. We're talking about employee absenteeism if it's singular. In turn is being costly for employers. That ruins the flow. Which in turn have been costly for employers. We're not talking about anything that happened in the past. We're not talking about past tense. So it's not D. So the answer is A. Employees who feel less than 100% and are sleep deprived are also less prone to work at their maximum productivity. One company in California gained a huge boost in its employees' morale when it moved from artificial lit distribution to one with natural illumination. Question 6. Which choice best supports the statement made in the previous sentence? So the previous sentence was talking about if you sleep less, if you're sleep deprived, you're going to be less productive. So we're talking about productivity here. So this no change is talking about a boost in employee morale. Morale and productivity are not the same thing, so it's not A. Saw a 5% increase in productivity. Yes, this talks about productivity, so this sounds right. Saw a great deal on its operational costs. Once again, we're talking about productivity here, not operational costs. Invested large amounts of time and capital. Once again, that's not productivity. So the answer is B. Artificial light sources are also costly aside from lowering worker productivity. They typically constitute anywhere from 25 to 50% of a building's energy use. Okay, so here's two things to remember. When it comes to answer choices in the writing section, most of the time, 99% of the time, the answer choice, which is the most factually correct and also the most concise, is the correct one. So we have to look for the most concise one. But since this is a question which asks us which choice best combines the underlying sentences, if you start a sentence with topic X, and then you finish the sentence, and then you talk about topic Y, and we're supposed to find the best way to combine the two statements into one. You want to make sure that X is still in front of Y. We still want to make sure that that the sentence is starting with this and then talking about they typically constitute anywhere from that. This should be first, and then this should still be second, even though it's in the same sentence. So let's do that. Aside from lowering worker productivity, artificial light sources are also costly, typically constituting anywhere from 25 to 50% of a building's energy use. So combined with are also costly. Okay, so This one makes sense. I would circle this one, but let's read the other ones real quick. The cost of artificial light sources, aside from lowering worker productivity, typically constitutes anywhere from 25 to 50%. This one, it's like mixing up the two statements. It's like using the first statement and then putting in the second one, and then wait, also cost aside from lowering. Like this one just it doesn't flow nice. The cost of artificial light sources, aside from lowering worker productivity, typically constitute anywhere from 25 to 50% of buildings energy use. Like what this sentence is saying is not the same as what this sentence is saying. What these two sentences are saying. Um, Aside artificial light sources. Like this one. Actually, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. This sentence is also saying what that sentence is saying, what these two sentences are saying, but I'd say that the flow, it doesn't flow right. The cost of artificial light sources, aside from lowering worker productivity, typically constitutes anywhere from 25 to 50% of buildings. I just feel like this could be rewritten better. It's not concise enough. So, yeah. So it's not B. Typically constituting 25 to 50% of the building's energy use, artificial light sources lower worker productivity and are costly. Okay, it's not C because you see how they started talking about the second part of the second statement. They started with that, but we still want to begin with the first statement. So C is wrong. Artificial lights, which lower worker productivity and are costly, typically constitute anywhere from 25 to 50% of the building's energy. This is just like all too many commas. It's not that doesn't flow well, so it's not D. Okay, so it's A. When a plant in Seattle, Washington was redesigned for more natural light, the company was able to enjoy annual electricity cost reductions of $500,000 each year. All right, so this is actually, you have to read the previous part of the sentence a little bit. The answer is delete the underlined portion and end the sentence with a period, because you see how it already indicated that this is an annual electricity cost. Annual means every year. So there's no point in repeating the fact that the costs come every year. So every year, per year, each year, all of it's wrong. So D. Among the possibilities to reconfigure a building's lighting is the installation of full pane windows to allow the greatest degree of sunlight to reach office interiors. Thus, businesses can install light tubes. Well, okay, so this is different from what this was talking about full pane windows. This is talking about installing light tubes. These are different methods of allowing natural light to flow through. And thus doesn't connect the two properly. Neither does nevertheless, neither does alternatively. Neither does finally, but alternatively does, because installing light tubes is an alternative to installing full pane windows. Alternatively, businesses can install light tubes. Okay, these are pipes placed in workshop roofs. Okay, let's go through the thing, answer choices, see which one flows the best. These are pipes, they are pipes. Okay, let's start from here. Alternatively, business can install light tubes. These are pipes. Alternatively, that doesn't sound right. Alternatively, business can install light tubes. They are pipes. No. This sentence is separated, these two statements are separated by commas. So they are and these are doesn't sound right. Alternatively, businesses can install light tubes, which are, yes, that matches with the flow of the sentence. Pipes. Alternatively, businesses can install light tubes, those being. That's just too complicated. It's not B. So the answer is C. Okay. Placed in workplace roofs to capture and funnel sunlight down into a building's interior. Glass walls and dividers can also be used to replace solid walls as a means of distributing natural light more freely. It's not as a means through distributing. That doesn't make any sense. As a means from distributing light, like nothing, like this is not going from that, and this is not like that's not going from this. That from doesn't make sense. Glass walls and dividers can also be used to replace solid walls as a means distributing. That just like you can tell you're cutting a part of the sentence, so it's not D. So the answer is B.